Who is in charge? Is there a new deadline to answer Elon Musk's email? What does semi-fired even mean? This morning, way more questions than answers after Musk said he was giving millions for federal workers another chance to justify their jobs or risk losing their jobs. But whether or not they really have to is still a big question mark this morning as Trump officials send varying guidance on what they're supposed to do. Also, demanding answers. A federal judge who is right now weighing whether Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE as he calls it, is even constitutional. CNN's Katelyn Polantz is covering the very latest in this DOGE legal dilemma. Say that 3 times. Katelyn, what are you learning? There's so much going on here.
Sarah, what aren't we learning? Because the Justice Department just doesn't have answers at this point to speak about what DOGE is and what Elon Musk is doing, what role he has, what power he has, and where the people who are working with DOGE at agencies across the government, especially the Treasury Department, where they handle those sensitive payment data, where they're getting their direction from. The question at a hearing yesterday, for about 30 minutes, there was a grilling by a judge of a Justice Department lawyer, and the overarching question was, what is DOGE? And the Justice Department just didn't have answers. At one point, the judge even said to the lawyers in the room, if anybody knows any of the answers here, speak up. Silence. The questions from Judge Collar-Kotelly: where is Mr. Musk in all of this? Is there an administrator of USDS, that's the U.S. Digital Service, now DOGE, at the present time? Rhetorically, she asked, who's involved? Who's in charge? Who's giving them direction? I would hope by now we would know the structure. The reason this is important is because people are going to court and they're asking judges to take extraordinary action, emergency intervention to lock down data at agencies, like in this case at the Treasury Department. And the judges just don't have enough facts to muster them to do anything right now. So Judge Collar-Kotelly, in this case, she explained pretty late into this hearing that this matters because if people at the Treasury Department are working with DOGE and taking direction from someone, be it Musk, be it from the White House, that person needs to be nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate, not just some random person installed in power. And there just are not enough clear answers of the chain of command from Musk to people working with DOGE at agencies like the Treasury Department, even if those people report to the secretary or another top confirmed official. The White House here, they have been no help either. There have been many questions put to them, including by CNN's Katelyn Polantz. Here is what Donald Trump said last week when he was asked, what exactly is Elon Musk?
Elon is, to me, a patriot. So, you know, you could call him an employee, you could call him a consultant, you could call him whatever you want, but he's a patriot.
Patriot is not an official title, but when asked in court yesterday, the Justice Department said that Elon Musk was, quote, an advisor to the president. That's all we've gotten at this point. Sarah?
I think it says it all, what you just said. Patriot's not an official title. Katelyn Polantz, thank you so much. Appreciate all of your reporting, and I'm sure it will get even more detailed as time goes on. John Berman.
All right, new overnight, jeers from angry constituents at a Missouri town hall with Republican Congressman Mark Alford the second he mentioned Elon Musk.
Elon Musk has contracts with the federal government. But he is also, I think, doing an effective job.
Conflict of interest!
Show me! There are a lot of people who don't want to see waste, abuse, and fraud weeded out. Some of them here today.
I don't want him in charge of it.
So you could hear the pushback that Alford got there. He won that district by 45 points in the last election. So in theory, that Republican congressman was on friendly turf. With us now is Axios senior contributor Margaret Talla. Margaret, great to see you. And we just saw that at the end of last week with Rich McCormick in Georgia. We're starting to see this kind of reaction bubbling up around the country. What do you make of it?
I mean, I think it's a really important indicator, John. And what we've always seen from the start is that President Trump's approval numbers were higher than Elon Musk's. Elon Musk didn't get elected president. But Musk's favorability or approval started out pretty high just before the start of the administration or in the very early days. And we're beginning to see, not just in Missouri at this town hall meeting, but in national polling, a real dip where he's underwater, as they say, and his disapproval numbers, Musk's, are higher than his approval numbers. We're also beginning to see a rise in the disapproval or strong disapproval numbers for President Trump. So there's the potential that Elon Musk will be dragging the president's reputation down among those voters who voted for Trump because they wanted to see it change, but they just didn't want to see it this way. So it's sort of an important indicator to watch. And again, I still think it's early. But what you're looking at is on the front of the federal workers who are being impacted, so much confusion. You've got the Office of Personnel Management saying this DOGE demand is voluntary. Then you've got Musk doubling down and saying, I'll give you another chance, but you really still, might get fired if you don't respond. You've got HHS saying that malign foreign actors are probably going to be reading whatever you write. So if you decide to voluntarily fill out the form, don't say anything very specific. And then you've got these members of Congress who are very worried inside the Republican House conference, very, very worried about primary challenges from the president if they don't act as an ally to him. But I think a little bit less worried about primary challenges if they turn cold to Elon Musk. And so that's the space that I'm looking at. I think when you've got constituents showing up consistently at meetings in strong red districts expressing concern about Musk, and that is driving potential disapproval of President Trump, that's going to be an important trend to watch.
Yeah, you make so many important points there. Number one, it is early, but something is beginning to happen, we think, based on what we're seeing. This disapproval of Musk, also a disapproval of job cuts that affect specific communities. It's a NIMBY thing, not in my backyard type of thing. We're seeing that. And we're also seeing people kind of turn on the idea of chaos, which clearly is visible every day because we're just not getting answers to who's in charge, things like that. But in Axios this morning, your friends at Axios this morning were writing, and I think it was Mike Allen in his piece, were saying, in general, this is a bargain that the administration is willing to make because they think that the country at large likes the idea of cuts, right? Trimming government, and also likes the look of going after big government, attacking government.
That's certainly and indisputably true for the Republican base, for the MAGA base. It is largely true for voters who are sort of in the center-right space, and it's not as true for Americans in the sort of center and center-left spaces. But it's those words that you use when we are listening to focus groups, talking with voters, looking at polling. We see consistently not only that Americans want to tackle the ideas of waste, fraud, and abuse, but they really believe that there's a large contingent of Americans who believes that it is pervasive in American government, and that if you just lopped off a bunch of these jobs, you'd get a lot of money savings, that it would somehow reduce people's tax bills. So I think there is a rubber meets the road moment that we're nowhere close to right now, where I think people think this is going to happen and they will be paying less taxes and government will work better. If that doesn't happen, or when that doesn't happen, people may revisit their views on whether this was worth it, especially if their communities are impacted by these job cuts.
So finally, Margaret, this is becoming sort of a semi-obsession, which is that Donald Trump is so focused on these government cuts, so focused on going after Vladimir Zelensky, so focused on going after DEI, but we don't hear him talking about inflation. We don't hear him talking about day-to-day economic matters. Do you have any sense of why that could be, when clearly it's beginning to have an impact on him in the polls?
Because it's really hard to reduce inflation just by talking about stuff. And especially if you're going to throw tariffs into the mix, there are could be some short-term stresses on the economy that pulls it in the other direction. I think he's moving the conversation to where he wants it to be, in part because it's very hard to translate the sort of positive instant results. I mean, eggs are whatever, $1 zillion a dozen now, this stuff is really complicated. Turns out presidents can't just wave a magic wand and change the pricing structure for everything, for the goods that people consume.
Yeah, but people, I think, are starting to wonder, why aren't you talking more about me and my everyday life? We'll see if he pivots a little bit in the next few days, especially as he gets to the State of the Union or his address to Congress. Margaret Toloff, thank you so much. Great to see you this morning.